Hello there, folks. How's it going? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome to week 4. Oh, sweet, my phone's dead. Waiting for that to charge up. And why don't we chat a little bit? Hopefully things are going well for you. Thanks so much for joining me on this pre-recorded class. Remember, this media has its benefits. Make sure you're taking advantage of them, like replaying sections, stopping sections if you got to run to the bathroom, repeating sections, kind of parts and exercises. And then also one thing that you can take advantage of too in the YouTube at the bottom right corner. There is a little gear wheel. Go ahead and click on that and you can adjust playback speed. So say I'm going through a move or an exercise that requires a little bit slower for you to catch on with what's going on. Go ahead and turn it down to like 0.75 or 0.5 speed, just to see if you can catch what's going on. Other than that, class is going to be kind of conducted as normal. Hopefully the song is starting to flow. It's starting to move well for you guys. Why don't we start just warming up? We'll just run through it. I've got the piece up. Of course, if you got reference, go ahead and use that, but I'll just be using this for now. We'll start at kind of a nice tempo, so like about this tempo. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Repeat. Accompaniment. Here we go. Repeat until we Cool. Yeah, that felt good. I think for me, coming into week 4, it's starting to feel a lot smoother. A lot of these phrases are starting to come a little more automatically for me, especially in these sections where we're moving in between parts. We're going from the verse into this next section. Bum-ba-da-da-da-da. In those moments, really try and tune in, right? Use your ears. Try not to use that visual reference. And I find that, you're going to have a lot more connectivity to your music. You're going to be able to play it in a lot more natural way. Okay, cool. I think this is charged, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on the second camera. I think for this one, I'm just going to play through one more time. And this time, I'm going to try not to use visual reference. I would suggest you do the same. If there's any way that you can do it, go for it. Of course, leave it kind of next to you. And hopefully, leave it next to you, and hopefully you're only using it in those moments where either you forget where you are or you're trying to look ahead a little bit and get into the next part. Okay. All right, let's give it a try. One more time. I'm gonna pick a tempo up just a touch. 1, 2, 1, 2. Accompaniment. Pick up. And we repeat. Tag. That was telling. Obviously, I need to work on some sections. Yeah, there were a couple moments where I really doubted myself. I was trying to stay as disciplined as I could, not make any visual reference. So I hope you could do the same. And if you couldn't do the same on that one, remember, just back it up. Try it again. even better, go to the first one because I played that a lot better when I was using visual reference. But there were a lot of moments where I really felt like I was trying to disconnect with trying to remember what was going on and really was just listening. There were a lot of parts when I was closing my eyes and just trying to um, listen to the way the melody moved. And actually, what I was finding was that I needed to do less. A lot of times when I was trying to find those melody notes, I was altering the chord shape, and a lot of times it was just sitting inside of it. Um, okay, cool. Well, I hope that was helpful, those exercises. Remember, really try and be separating yourself from the visual part of the arrangement in this last week if you can. We talked a lot last week about sort of developing sort of a keen sense for what exactly the melodic line sounds like, feels like to play, like what your hands need to do. And then as soon as you can, just disconnect from even using any visual reference. We're going to try and do a little bit of that exercise now. We're just going to use the first phrase as another example. Last week, we talked about the tag and doing that, and hopefully that was helpful. And you guys spent some time really, really getting that tag, that last line of the phrase, until we meet again, under your fingers. That way you're not having to use visual reference, especially near the end there, 28, 29, 30, 31. Measure 31 into the second ending so your eyes aren't really having to skip around. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's take a look at what happens in this melodic phrase. And I really want you to just watch my left hand, and we're going to just start from the top. I want you to watch my left hand and see how much it moves in this first section. That's the first move I have to do with my left hand. So remember, all of this is inside of a G chord. You play the melody, bum, bum, you roll to this note, play this note, accompaniment, and there's your first note. So let's see if we can kind of put that on repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, go. One more time. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now from here, remember my suggestion was to put the pinky down and then use the ring finger in the middle to make that melody happen. Remember the chord switches right there. So that measure is pretty straightforward. You roll, play the note, roll to the note, and then play the open E string. And then we finish the phrase here. Now right there is kind of where I would end a melodic phrase. These nice long half notes. And then you have one more beat of accompaniment. That's kind of a nice ending, right? A bookend to melodic phrases. And remember, that's always where you want to be looking. When does my melodic phrase take a breather before it starts to move into more new notes? When do I hear a really, really long space, right? One long melody note kind of hanging out. That's when you know that's sort of the bookend or the end of that phrase. So we can kind of group it so that we're looking at measures 1, 2, and 3 all as one phrase. Let's just put it in a loop and see if we can start to feel it as a melodic phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, go. Not much movement. Open switch. 1. Let's try again. Bum, 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 bum. Accompaniment. Let's go again. Bum, 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 bum. Here, I'm really trying to connect with my hands and the sound, right? I'm keeping my eyes closed. I really like exercises like that because then what you start to do, especially when you put it on repeat, you start to hear it over and over again as you're really solidifying how it feels in your body, how it sounds when you're playing it at the correct tempo, and then you assign those to the movements, especially when it comes to right hand technique, because that's the most technical stuff, right? Trying to make sure you're rolling to a note or playing a note by itself or hitting the right note or stopping on the right string. I think to me, that's the most complicated. Sorry about that. That's my kiddo and fighting against bedtime. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, though I think right hand technique is kind of the more of the complicated. I mean, the more complicated side of things, and so you really want to pay attention to trying to eliminate a lot of the sort of extraneous things. And that's one of the reasons I say, disconnect yourself from the visual reference, because it just gives you one less thing to think about, one less thing to actually analyze and try and achieve. And then you're really connecting to those senses that are the most important: the feel in your fingers, and then also the way it sounds, right? Connecting to your ear. Okay, cool. I wanted to bring about, I kind of mentioned this last week, that this week I was going to talk about a few variations. Basically how I would play something now that I've got it kind of locked in, and I'm going to use these last two melody notes in measure 3 of this phrase. Where we go. I'm gonna see if I can play at speed and see what kind of happens natural for me. I think what I'm hitting. Do I do that in the next section? Yeah, that's sort of what's developed. That's what's developed more naturally for me. Yeah, go ahead. That's what's developed more naturally for me, kind of moving through these, is that in between beats 2 and 3, I've found that my thumb is kind of going up and reaching for a little bit of a ghost note. So if I was to think about how that sounded in terms of rhythm, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's kind of the rhythm that we're implying right now. 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Right there. In between beats 2 and 3, what I'm finding is that my thumb is kind of naturally coming up and picking up a little ghost note there. So yeah, let's use measure 2. Actually, that's going to be a little more. That's going to be a little more natural for me. So I'm rolling to the 3rd fret on the E string, and now I'm going to play this note. And now before the next roll, I'm going to play the G string once. And again, this is serving not really a a harmonic function or a melodic function. It's really just rhythmic. It's just a way to kind of catch a little bit of an extra beat. So it's like 1, 2, and 3, 4, just like that. You can see if I'm analyzing just those two measures, at the beginning. That's really right here that I'm doing this section. You can see I'm rolling to the 3rd beat. I'm sorry, on the downbeat, I'm rolling to the 3rd fret, playing the note by itself, the 2nd fret, and then here is where I'd add the ghost note on top. Top string before I roll to the 3rd fret again, and then I play that. So just in terms of rhythm, like what it sounds like 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, right? 1 note and 3, 4. That's like kind of my accompaniment right there. 1, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So if we move that over to the next measure, if we move that sort of setup or that template, then when we went to the next measure, what we'd see is that on beat 1, we're playing the D note, right? Rolling to that 2nd fret on the C string. And then here, we do it again. So since there's no beat on 2 to sort of guide us, what we have to play is 1, 2, and 3, 4. Did you hear that? 1, 2, G roll, right? 1, 2, and 3, 4. So instead of just rolling through those 2 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm playing 1, 2, and 3, 4, right? That's just one addition, right? One idea for you to be able to start to incorporate a little bit of a variation when it comes to rhythm. I wouldn't take it much beyond that, right? I think next month we're going to have an opportunity to start to get into a little bit more sophisticated syncopated rhythms, some other things that we're going to have a little bit more driving elements. But I really love addressing solo ukulele and these kind of arrangements with a very simple rhythmic style, because then what happens is it's really a lot easier to sort of understand how the mechanics are moving, right? It's like when you open a car these days and you see like an engine with like, no openings into it and computers control everything. And it's like, I don't know how to work on this, but when I got my first car, I opened the hood and there were like 4 major parts, right? Everything was exposed and you could work on it and you could open it. It's sort of like that. We're trying to keep the layout simple so that we can really see how all of the parts fit together as we move. So if I was going to look at those 2 measures again, all I would be doing is in between beats 2 and 3, I'd be adding 1 extra ghost note. So I started on measure 2, it would sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, and roll, 2, bounce, roll, open, roll, and roll. And every time I say that, and what I'm doing is catching that 8th note in between, right? Where everywhere else we were focusing on just the downbeats, right? The quarter notes and the half notes where we were actually adding the measure. So let's see if we can try that again. 1, 2, ready, and roll, note, bounce, roll, note, roll, and 3. Right? Now, let's see if I can just kind of naturally see if I can add this. Remember, it's going to be... that one's a little more awkward. Yeah, that one I probably wouldn't bounce there because what you have is this sort of even cadence in between the 2 notes. So it'd be... Actually, no, it could go in there. So it would be 1, 2, roll, note, bounce, jump. Right? It makes it a little bit trickier. And I would say in a measure that busy, I might not attempt it. Right? I might just keep it to measures that are a lot more straightforward, like measure 2 and measure 3, where we're hitting on all the downbeats. And then we've got lots of space to be able to make those moves. So I'll kind of omit it from the first 2. And let's just go ahead and do all of line 1 here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Roll, no, roll, bum, bum. Just that little extra. 2. Very subtle. One more. So I omitted on that last rotation, and you can see that there's not a lot of difference. Like I said, if this is an addition that's going to really muddy things up for you, don't worry about it. And I want you guys to see that really if we're thinking about our rhythm and our harmony always hitting on the beat 1 and 3, then we really don't have a ton of other options when it comes to incorporating sound, unless we start to kind of pick up these notes and these rhythmic places where we haven't been playing before, right? Beat 2 and 4, we definitely have played single notes, but we haven't started to play melodically, right? On those, or we haven't started to play harmonically on those notes. We've been playing them kind of by themselves. So if we wanted to experiment with rolling to some of those notes, we could, right? If we wanted to put any fills, we start to have to involve those notes in between, right? Divide that measure into more parts. Instead of it just being divided into 4 like we've normally felt it, now we start to feel it as 8, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Bum, 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 da, ba, bum, bum, da, bum, 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 right? Trying to find these moments within that measure that we can fill in and do something a little bit extra. Let's try one more time, and then we'll kind of go into something different here. 1, 2, 1, 2. We'll play this by itself. Now we go roll, note, bounce, roll, note, roll, bounce, roll. Right? And especially in this third measure, right? Anytime you see this phrasing, this sort of rolling to this D, like kind of hitting it on the half notes. Anytime I see half note measures like that, then I can do it again, right? Like say here in measure 5, 6, 7, 8. Here in measure 8, if I want to, sorry, wrong button there. If I want to play that same way, I can roll through the D7. And then in between beats 2 and 3, I can catch a little ghost note there. So it'd be roll and 3, right? 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Let's see if I can add that to the end of this line. So it'd be accompaniment, and then it's roll, here, roll, bounce, roll. Right? And it's like I said, it's simple. It's these simple little moments, but if you keep the template simple, then what happens is it's a lot easier to swallow, especially when you're trying to add it onto, this more technical style of playing. So I encourage you to experiment around with that a little bit. That's just one option. See if you can come up with another one. Maybe between beats 4 and 1, maybe between beats 1 and 2. Maybe you're varying it in certain measures where the melodic line does something different. I really think that, adding these things is sort of the icing on the cake, and you really shouldn't be doing it unless you're flowing through the piece really well. So that's not going to be for everybody, but it's also something that you can go back to with almost any piece of music that you learn to do. Cool? Okay. What else did I want to focus on today? I think the big thing for me was really being able to, see the similarities when you're playing certain phrases. It's almost like the right hand kind of mirrors what it's doing in two different parts that are right next to each other. And so a lot of times when you can see that and identify it, what ends up happening is that it's a lot easier for you to start to synthesize it, right? I'm going to take this example here. Let's see, where am I? It's going to be, I'm going to take this example here. So we're looking at measure 26. Now, does everybody see that the melody notes are half notes, right? On beat 1. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this so you can see. Rolling on beat 1, rolling on beat 1, then rolling on beat 3, then rolling on beat 1, then you accompany yourself. These 3 hits right here, did you notice that you do a very similar thing when you're here, right? You roll to the C string, except in this measure here, you are rolling and then playing a note, but then you roll to the E string again. I actually think this is not the part that I was talking about. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Yes, it was here. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. So this is measure 17. Give me 1 second, team. So this is what I was talking about. So right here in this measure, we've got rolling to the E string open, rolling to the 3rd fret on the E string, and then rolling to the A string here a little bit later, right? Now, when I play this next melody, what do I need to do in the G chord? I need to roll to the C string, I need to roll to the E string, and then I need to roll to the A string. And so in these moments, this is actually kind of one of my favorite phrases in the tune. In these moments, what you want to think about is how your right hand is playing these, right? I'm going to roll to the downbeat, and then here, and then on the next beat, I'm going to roll to the A string. Now, here, I'm doing a similar thing, but I'm starting at the C string. But all I have to do with my left hand is roll through each one of those strings, right? And that's what I was trying to identify here. When I'm playing this phrase, it's bum, bum, bing, bum, 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 bum. It's just that mirroring phrasing, half note, half note, half note. Aloha, da da da, da da da, right? Those are the parts that you really want to identify as sounding similar, feeling similar, with a slight variation, right? Obviously, my left hand's holding a different chord shape. I'm finding the melody notes on different strings, but it's that same sort of sensation of playing that exact same phrasing, just on different notes. Do, ha, ha, ba da da, ba-da-da, right? Same timing, kind of similar right hand technique, and also similar that you're finding those different notes within that chord, right? Let's take a look at that and see if we can play it together. So starting on, let me see if I can get this all on one line. Wouldn't that be great? Now I lost it. 17. Sorry about that. Yeah. There we go. Maybe a little less. Yeah, now we got it all on one line there. Line 17, so here, we'll make this loop. And didn't quite get it on one line, but this will work. You just know you finish on a G chord on measure 21. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Roll to the E string and roll to the A string, right? Like I said, slightly different in terms of what you're doing, but almost identical in feel, right? That's really what you want to try to be identifying is that this feels the same, both of these measures. And this is a really distinct part of the song. I think one of the most important parts of the song. So really pay attention to that. And let's see if we can play it again. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and one more time. 1, 2, ready, and let's see if we can try this angle. 1, 2, ready, and roll to the E string, and then roll to the A string. One more time. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, to me, identifying these moments in the songs, right, where you're feeling similar movements, these are the easiest to identify because not only are they the most sort of like what I would call the hook of the song. I think this is sort of like where the part that people recognize the most comes in, but it's also just sort of a similar kind of pattern that you're playing through each of those chord shapes, right? Once through the C, you're kind of moving up and ascending, and then you're doing the exact same thing in a G chord. Remember, analyze what the left hand does, because for most of the song, it's not really making much movement. It's not moving a lot. Another little moment that I wanted to focus on was at the top of this tune. When we're playing these two measures, I want you to see that this phrase right here, measure 2 and 3, I'm sorry, this is the pickup measure, my bad. In the pickup measure here, do you see how that gets repeated again right here, right? So just know that once you've kind of moved through this section, once you've moved through this section here, as soon as you hit this spot, you know that what you're doing is repeating what you just did. Now, of course, these are slightly different, right? This one here in measure 1, you're going to go roll a accompaniment, right? And so you're playing 2 melody notes there, quarter and then half. Now check it out here in measure 10. You know, similar melody, but instead of playing that quarter, half, quarter, what you're playing here is dotted half. Then on beat 4, you're picking up with 2 eighth notes. Other than that, the melody is very, very similar, right? So this is the first one. Now, when I come to it again, it sounds like this. Accompaniment. Now, the big reason for that is because the melodic line is changing a little bit due to the cadence of the vocals. If you're working on the pronunciation, remember on the UCLab landing page that actually has the lyrics there with their translation. But if you're working on any of those Hawaiian words, you can see that we have a different sort of a different cadence with how we need to sing those words. And that's the reason the melodic line is changing, not just for variance, but to actually fit a different set of syllables in the span of this measure. So remember, we are picking up and starting over. We're repeating the phrase, but we have these slight variations. The first one sounds like, right? And then the second one sounds like, same thing, hang. I took out the accompaniment there just so you could hear how long that beat holds for. Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and, right? That's what that sounds like. Anytime you're having any doubt about what any of these rhythms sound like, melodies sound like, make sure you're clapping them out. Cool. Let's see if we can play through and just notice any other differences as we get to that repeat. All right, here we go. 1, 2. Oh, well, let me see if I can get that 2 lines. There we go. 1, 2. 1. Sorry. 1, 2. 1. Go. No. Open roll. No. No. And switch. Pick up, repeat. Here we hang on that note, accompaniment, quick ones. And you can hear me kind of hitting that bounce in there from earlier in the class. Remember that little extra kind of 2 and 3 instead of just 2, 3, right? Okay, cool. I'd ask you guys if you have any questions, but you're not there. So, well, technically you are there, but I guess we're not here together. So yeah, if you guys do have any questions, please let me know via the Slack feed. Let me know through email or however else you want to get in touch with me. If I can answer any questions, I really want to try to do it. Let's see if we can try one more time rolling through this whole piece. I'm going to do my best to not use reference, but on the first one, I am going to go ahead and put it up on the board here. But yeah, let's see if we can use it sort of sparingly, right? Only in the parts that we might forget, we might not remember. Unfortunately, this is all I can get of it. So we'll have to sort of hold off on the chord charts on the top line and hope that you can see it okay. Cool. All right, let's give this a try. We'll hit the repeat, go through again. And then remember, it's all the same except for the tag. All right, 1, This will be our last run through. 1, 2. Try that. Yeah. Maybe try it here. Like that. And switch. Pick up. Here we hang that long note. Quick ones. All the same. Till here. Second ending. Accompaniment. And remember, rolling to E, and rolling to A. Now here, switch. We've played this before. Pick up, and we start. Here we go, and we tag until let's try one more for good measure. Here we go. Nicely done, team. Okay, cool. Well, that is it. Our month is officially wrapped up when it comes to teaching. Remember, guys, we're going to be having our Uke Social next Monday. I think that's November 30th. We'll be taking place at the evening classes. We'll be going from like 6 to 7:15. I'm really excited because last month we didn't get to all get together and meet. But yeah, I'm excited to see everybody in the same room. We'll be working on this tune as well as the standard track tune, Island Style. So get all your Hawaiian in. And for those of you guys who are working on both, yeah, I'm really curious to see how it's going. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention as well, if you want to be included in the, what's the word? If you want to be included in the ensemble video, I would like for you to upload your solo video to the full score. You can play along with the solo version. That way you can, you don't get thrown off when you hear a full 3-part arrangement, beginner, intermediate, advanced while you're playing it. But just so I don't have to sift through videos when I'm going to edit, uploaded to the full score version of Aloha Oe. Okay. That's if you want your tune to be, or your solo version to be included in that, that edited ensemble video. So remember, you have to be at tempo. So if you're feeling, oh, no way, I'm consistently at about 80%, can't get it up to tempo, then just put your recording or your performance recording into the solo version. But again, if you want to be included in the ensemble, the virtual ensemble video edit, then upload your performance of the solo piece into the full score. Okay. That's it for today. It was very nice to see you guys. Well, technically I didn't see you, but very nice to be in front of you teaching. Thank you guys all so much for your hard work this month. Looking forward to next month, and also seeing all you guys on Uke Social. So have a great Thanksgiving. Take care. Bye-bye.